Welcome. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite boots from when I was a teenager, and one that I feel just doesn't get sort of the recognition or legacy that some of the other boots from the other big brands get from that time period. And that is the Puma V1.10 SL. So this is the super lightweight version that Puma offered of their V1 line. So I guess to sort of run you through what the boot was, what it compared to, and why I picked up two other colorways of it. I'll sort of break all that down. Again, if you are enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. So just a bit of a recap, the SL version. So I do have, this is a V111. So this is actually the next generation, but it was basically the same boot, just with a couple tweaks on it. But you essentially got this shape, this really sort of, big toe anatomical, like you can see just how high this toe is. You've got this big plastic bit there. So again, super durable, like it was all stitched around the top and everything and had this big plastic toe, but it was a bit of an awkward boot to play in, and weren't the lightest things around. Like they were still a relatively lightweight product, and you could get them in synthetic and leather. But when they came out with the SL version, this was a completely different boot. It may as well have been its own silo event, essentially. So other than being both their speed boot offerings from Puma. So at the time of the V10, so this is back in 2010-11, and the other offerings we were getting from Adidas. So again, this is the previous generation, but this is a 2010. This is obviously the remake, but the 2010 F50 Adi Zero with their sort of sprint skin upper. Again, you'll sort of see I'm a bit more of a Puma speed boot fanboy. Love my Evo Speeds, as you can probably tell by some of my other videos. I've got a lot of Puma boots, especially in the speed boot category. And I was definitely more team Puma than I was Adidas at the time. And that mainly came, I did have a go in F50s before, and yes, they were really light, but I just didn't like how plasticky this upper was. And then obviously they did do the update in 2011. We'll get to that. And then the other offering at the time were the Vapor 7s and the Superfly 3s. And again, if you're familiar with this boot at all, or even the Vapor 7s, they were clunky, stiff, uncomfortable boots like that upper. Like that's really me trying to push that upper end. Just a horribly uncomfortable boot. Again, aggressive traction and the whole carbon fiber thing. And again, these things were poisonally expensive brand new. So in very lightweight, but in my opinion, weren't very comfortable, and a very plasticky upper, and an absolute brick of a boot. When these came out, like, look at them. Look how low profile they sit. Like, look at the difference. Even the toe box, like, just a brick. So when these came out, so when they were released and announced, these were, in 2011, the lightest boot in the world. So these only weigh 150 grams. So even in today's standards, I think some of the New Balance boots are like the lightest at the moment, and they're around that 160, 70 mark. These are still lighter 13 years later, which is just incredible. And so going back 13 years ago, here, we'll switch out some colorways. Going back 13 years ago, actually, still need to talk about this one. So ordered these from Pro Direct, and going back 13 years, the postage services back then were incredibly slow. So I've been saving up, really looking forward to, getting, this is, again, back when light boots were seen as the biggest thing to have, the really light boots. And I was waiting and waiting. Finally had the money to buy these, because again, they weren't cheap. And bought them from Pro Direct, and they probably took about 3-ish, 4 weeks, almost a month to get here. And within that time, the F50 got updated from the 2010 to the 2011, And with that, the Adizero Prime got announced. And broke my heart a little bit because they were 5 grams lighter than this, taking the title away of being, you know, the world's lightest boot. So I never got to actually have the boot in my hand and go, it's the lightest one. So I was a little bit sour grapes about that. But anyway, so when I did finally get them, was incredibly happy with them. Like, how soft this upper is. Hold on, that's got stuff in it. Here we go. I'll bring the white one back. Like, it's so soft. It's this really nice sort of plush feeling microfiber to it. And then also going around, the build quality that we had in such a lightweight boot was amazing. So we had this sort of synthetic suede liner all around the heel, a decent sort of heel cup to it. You've also got stitching all the way up the heel counter. Again, they've cut out holes in the heel counter to save weight, but still stitched it. Again, I've never had any breakage or anything around any of these stitching. And then even at the bottom of the boot, you'll see the stitching all the way around the top. And again, of my 3 pairs, none of them have had any breaks or anything like that around those areas. So super durable in terms of those aspects. So one of the reasons I do have so many colorways of the same boot is, one, I really like it, but a couple flaws with this boot. Again, no boot's perfect, but I'll just bring out the white and blue ones again. The studs on these, they wore down so fast. Like, they're not very long studs, but you can sort of see these black tips. You can just see how short they are. Like, that's how long it was sort of meant to be. And like, again, I was pretty pedantic with my boots. Like, I wouldn't wear them on concrete, or, you know, I'd wait until I'm on the pitch to put them on. I hated walking from like the dugout, the change rooms to the field on concrete or anything like that. I hated it. So like, again, you compare it to what the Superflies were. Like, look at the stud length difference. So part of it was, yes, I really liked the boot, so I wanted another pair, but I almost had to because the traction became non-existent almost, because we've got this tiny little stud in the middle and then the like toe pick studs in the front. Like, this is so smooth. So not a sharp stud by any means, and wore down. Like, you could almost just wear these on. These can be now turf boots. Like, and then with all 3 of them, so they do have in the middle here the carbon fiber shank. All 3 of them cracked. So in the middle there, in the middle there, and in the middle there as well. So again, that was there to sort of give you that sort of that midfoot sort of stability, so the boot wouldn't bend. You can actually hear it cracking again. But yeah, just, I don't know if it was just down to the way they manufactured the carbon fiber or it being too thin, but yeah, all 3 of them cracked, and relatively quickly too. And again, you can see even on these ones, the studs starting to wear down. So yeah, one of the boots that were, like, again, compared to what was out, a clunky boot and something that was so plasticky and so thin, these just being, you know, such a nice upper, a really, really nice heel, and again, just an incredibly lightweight product. This is sort of what started it for me of like sort of my Puma speed boot fanboy. So that's why I've got a pair of, I went back and found a pair of, you know, V106s and a V108 and the Trix colorway. We've got more Evo speeds, and back to sort of Evo speeds, this SLS that we got. So not the SL with like the see-through upper and that sort of more like sort of mesh-based synthetic. This microfiber is almost identical. So again, another reason why I bought so many pairs of the Evo Speed SLS is because we were getting a boot with traction now, with studs that actually exist, in something still with a really, really low toe box, really low profile, in that same microfiber. A little bit better lockdown because we went to like a different sort of mesh-based synthetic in the midfoot back. You can see it's all discolored from being in the sun too long. Yes, the sole plate was incredibly thin, but in the SLSs, I actually found the durability was a lot better. Like, you can see I've played a lot of games in these, and we're not getting any separation. So that was one reason why the SLS I liked so much was because it was like getting this boot again in an even lighter configuration with a better sole plate. But yeah, this is sort of, like I said, one of those boots that they were so good for their time. I wish they just had slightly better studs and that carbon fiber didn't crack, because everything else about it, it was such a comfortable boot for the time. Like, again, when we were in a time where people were accepting this boot and the blisters and the hot spots and the pain that these would cause, and we were just like, oh, that's just how speed boots are. And then when these came out, yes, they were revolutionary and incredibly lightweight, but like I said, the upper was plasticky and the heel in these were rubbish. The padding wasn't there. It was just like, it was still a good boot, but if you've tried a pair of these, and yeah, you'll understand how good they were. But like I said, just flawed. Like, I just wish the studs were a bit better and the carbon fiber didn't crack, because these were just fantastic boots. But yeah, I guess not really a major review or anything today, more just a little bit of nostalgia, and I guess just wanted to highlight a boot that some people may not have seen or heard of before. And yeah, I really just think that this boot deserves a lot more credit than what it gets, because like, we just had the leather F50 remake come out, and like, again, I don't know if Superflies are looked at as, you know, one of those amazing boots. Like, they were super tech forward and insanely expensive, but horrible to play in. But yeah, like, honestly, if they came out with a remake of one of these, sign me up straight away. But yeah, I just wanted to share sort of a little bit about the EvoSpeed, sorry, look at me, EvoSpeed, the Puma V1.10 SLs, and why they were so insanely good, so insanely light. Like 150 grams even today is just insane. So to be able to offer the level of comfort, the durability that they did have in other areas, but like I said, their Achilles heel were the studs and that carbon fiber shank cracking. But just an insanely light boot. Yeah, I just wish they were a little bit better. But anyway, that's sort of, like I said, we got a bunch of colorways. That's sort of the talk I wanted to do today, just showing a couple of the SL boots, and why that sort of then spurred that, that love affair of, Puma speed boots. They haven't always been great. Previous generation Ultras, rubbish. I've worn my pair like 2 or 3 times and I hate them. But these, when they were out, were fantastic. But anyway, that's all from today. Just a bit of a flashback to something that was just an amazing boot from 13 years ago. But yeah, again, if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to take the time to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.